What is up, YouTube? Jonny B here again today, and I'm gonna be working on my FRS. I haven't done much to it over this past year. 2020 was just, I think, headlights. That's pretty much all I did 2020. I've been so busy with like work and doing other people's projects and getting a new shop, as you guys can see if notice. The shop tour will come later on once I get this all dialed in, make everything look nicer. Obviously, I got some lifts in already, so that makes the shop a lot nicer to work in, but I want to make it a little bit more presentable. So for now, we're just gonna keep doing car builds, and once I have some spare time, we're gonna do kind of like a shop build, so I think it'll be cool. What I'm gonna be doing today on the FRS is I've been wanting to change out the coolant for, I think it's water wetter with distilled water. I've heard it runs a bit cooler, maybe like 10 degrees. I'm gonna test that out because the car, when it was in the summer, I drove it a little bit, the AC on, and I was just like sitting at a light, and the temperature started creeping, because normally it sits under halfway on the temperature gauge. It started creeping a little bit over the half, and I turned off the AC just to, be sure. So I don't know what's going on. Obviously, everything is pretty much new in the car, so I wanted to upgrade to that fluid. So I wanted also to change it to like a CSF, kind of like we did in the Evo. I don't know what the big difference is, but I want to just change brands, see how that works for me. We have CSF in the Fiesta as well, and in another build, and temperatures are perfect. So I'm wondering if it's just my car, because of the big turbo causes a lot of heat, but I want to just like switch up the radiator, and I actually sold it. I have the Koyorad radiator in here. I'm gonna put it in this car, which is supercharged. This car had a stock radiator, so we're gonna be upgrading his system, and I'm gonna be doing the same distilled water wetter on his car, because he was having the same issues, but he's on stock radiator. So here is my bumper. A lot of people always ask me, Jonny, why or how does your bumper come off? I've built a couple of these. Obviously, I bolt them to the bumper, so it's a little bit more difficult because they have to remove the front rods and unbolt right underneath the splitter all the way to the back. There's 2 bolts that mount it to the frame that's right underneath the radiator. But I have mine set up differently because mine's more like a chassis mount. So the bumper, as soon as I remove these 2 rods and take off the screws up here and the screws that I have here on the side, I use this one to bolt the bumper, and I use one right here, and it should come off. So let's go ahead and pull it off with you guys here watching. There we go. Just gotta jump the little clip. See, the rods are kind of going in through the grill. Then I should just be able to pull this off, apart from all the connectors that I have. So it should be simple. I'll probably just pop that out. I pretty much try to make it, as simple as possible, since I know I'm going to be removing my bumper quite often. Don't want to be dealing with that. And then I was having some connection issues with the connector, so I switched to these. Obviously made them removable as well. Got one. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Got 2. And now my bumper should come off. It's been a while since I've seen it like this. It's a little dirty under there. So I finally got everything out. I didn't want to bore you guys taking apart my car. There's so much more stuff to do than, versus your normal car. Having the turbo kit, the piping, the oil cooler, all that in the way. The crash bar needed to be moved, and then I have like these sheet metal plates to help guide the airflow with a bunch of foam all around this. You can see it right there. And the fans with the fan shroud made it a little bit more difficult than it should have been, but I got it out, and it's just right here. goes the Koyorad, which we're gonna be throwing on that one. And then this is gonna have to stay like this for about another week until the new one comes in. And then we could do the same setup with the water wetter as we're gonna do to this top one right here. So I moved the FRS out of the way. Luckily you don't need to have a radiator to drive it, and we're installing it into this car. Actually, I already got the Koyo installed, got the hoses all in, and now it's time to just put everything back together. I had to remove a lot of the supercharger stuff just to be able to have access to remove this. I even had to remove a little bit of the inlet that covers the supercharger. And because this right here kind of gets in the way there. So I just removed it. It was just 3 10mm bolts. And now, once I'm done with this car will go. So the radiator went to the other car, went ahead and ordered the one for this car, and it's here. Look at it. So I went from Koyo to CSF. I wanted to try out the CSF one, so I sold the Koyo one, and everything looks nice. We have CSF, like I told you guys earlier. This is a couple days later. We have it in a lot of our builds, the Evo, the Fiesta, and now it's gonna be on this FRS. So let's go ahead and install the new radiator. So this is the CSF in comparison to the OEM. You can see how the end tank is plastic on the OEM ones. And then obviously now we have this nice aluminum bit, and they're about twice as thick in comparison to the OEM one. So we should get a lot better cooling obviously versus the OEM one. I'm curious to see what the difference is between the Koyo, but I'm not gonna really get to tell that until we get to try this thing out on the track. So I got the radiator installed, just literally mounted it on the rubber tabs down there. And then we did the bolts that grab the condenser to the radiator. So the condenser is now bolted completely to the radiator. I didn't want to take it out because I don't want to have to recharge my AC system. So now I can go ahead and put the fans in and then hook up the hoses, which I obviously have out of the way. We have the one down there, hiding back there. So the new radiator is in, got everything situated. Put in the top piece of the core support, and then got my fans all hooked up again, the turbo intercooler lines hooked up. And then as you can see there, I started topping it off, got it all in there. Now the only thing left I want to do before I put the bumper on, which is behind over there, is to clean it up. I want to make sure that the car is clean. It's been dusty, it's been sitting around all year long pretty much, so I want to make sure that it's not going to be dusty under here, and clean it up as much as I can. That way the engine bay is going to be nice and clean, and then we can go drive it around a bit.